Y'all don't want to know how I threw this head covering on. Look like I'm Muslim on one side and Coolio on the other side. Because I didn't tie it right. I just threw it on over to the other side. Well, Coolio about to give a word. Okay. I wanted to talk about gossip and slander. And this actually just came into my spirit a few hours ago because I was up like early in the morning. And I actually had the Lord purify my own heart. I don't want to say correct. He did correct me, but just purify my own heart because I like to watch like truth or exposure videos and stuff, and I noticed that honestly the majority of them is just trash. I wouldn't even like most of them, they just spit out a whole bunch of jargon and stuff. But there was this one video which I felt made really really good content, and I ended up watching one about the Kardashians, and the entire video was like a some type of movie that they created to prove how the Kardashians are witches, and just really I mean pretty much the whole video was framing the Kardashians. It was like some weird story from the 1800s about how the Kardashians are witches and how their great 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 grandmother was a witch and why they're famous and beautiful and promiscuous today. And the whole time I was watching it, I was wondering, I was like, where did they get this from? I was like, because I was wondering, like, is this real or is this something like they just made up? Because, like, they put, like, it's a long video. It's about, like, 7 to 10 minutes long. And, like, so it's not something that was just, like, you know, for you to put something together like that, I would assume that you had some real factual evidence and validation to even affirm the stuff that you're putting out. And there was none in the video. It was just this made-up video with some girl reciting, sound like she was like reading a story to you from the 1800s about the Kardashians and their bloodline. And it really upset me because I'm just like, you know, I really don't like, I'm tired of it now. And the Lord has purified my heart. I say that because we participate or we operate in a spirit of witchcraft through slander all the time. And I think some of us genuinely may not realize when we are doing it or what spirit we may be operating in when we do it. I personally didn't. I didn't know what spirit I was operating in. And it kind of upset me because even though these women are promiscuous, even though, you know, everybody can see how the Kardashians are, you know, they're on TV, that does not give you the right to get on YouTube and basically lie against them. Like, I could see if the story was true and you decided to make content about it and put it on YouTube, maybe to inform or for entertainment, I really don't know. But to just put it out there as if it's true, but you don't really provide any true validation that this actually is true, no factual evidence, and you just don't like the Kardashians. You think they're whores, or you think they're promiscuous, so you make this video. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't really see any proof, so to me, you just made it up. You know, so, and they put it out there, and I think people feel like it's okay for them to do things like that just because everybody else, because the entire community or just most of the world probably feels that same way about those particular people, so they feel like it's okay to just go ahead and slander them because nobody likes them anyway, and it's not okay. And this same channel did a video, a picture of Wendy Williams, and the title was Wendy Williams Crack Whore Stupid. It was something just like, I mean, really just disrespecting the woman. And I said, you know what, this is really just foul. Like, we really need to stop doing stuff like this. And it made me think about my comment that I just made about Amber Rose in my recent video. And after the Lord just kind of like dealt with my heart with seeing those videos and just really, I feel like he's really shed a lot off of me because, like, I don't know, the way he just brought it to me a few hours ago, like, it just came into my spirit. Like, this really is a spirit of witchcraft when we do stuff like that. When you really just put somebody out there on a public platform and you just plaster their name or plaster their face on something and you just, like, nail them to a cross, you know, whether it's ridicule or slander or just accusations and different allegations about the person. You know, it really is a spirit of witchcraft because it's corporate gossip. You're taking negative information about somebody and you're bringing it to the next carrier, you're not doing it for a positive purpose. You're not saying, hey, look, this person's a whore because I want you to love her. Like, no, we tell somebody else that somebody's promiscuous because we want them to feel the same way we feel about the person, which is negative. And, it's Elise. And, I was thinking about my comment that I made about Amber Rose. I did use her as an example when I was talking about modesty and whatnot, but I still think that probably the way I did it was a little bit tacky and disorderly, although I wasn't just like going in on her or anything. But he even corrected my heart even with that, because he really just put in my spirit that it made me think about, and this is gonna sound very cliche because I have not said this in such a very long time in years. I like left that little religious saying years ago when I really started growing in the Lord and gained some understanding that we can judge righteous judgment, and we should. But righteous judgment is discernment. You have to question, well, what is the definition of righteousness? Well, Jesus is righteous and Jesus is love. So anytime he judges, whether it's good or bad, it's always going to come from a place of love and true discernment and true understanding. And we don't do that. We judge people out of flesh. We judge people in a spirit of witchcraft and then call it righteous judgment. And that's not righteous. That's not what you're doing. And it just kind of came up in my spirit. I said, you know what? I don't think that we are... Everybody texting me. I don't think we should be judging the wicked. I mean, the Bible does already say that we don't judge the wicked, we judge the church. But I mean, period. I think everybody just needs to stop doing this mess. Because as humanity, even as a Christian, I still feel like we don't have the right to judge other people. And it made me think about that situation with the woman in adultery, and when Jesus said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone at her. It's not that he was saying, well, nobody can judge, or that, you can't judge me and nobody can really correct me or really have an opinion or righteous judgment about my lifestyle. What he was really trying to show them is that really y'all don't have delegated authority to judge her the way that I can, because you are imperfect. Y'all are all condemned. Y'all under the same bondage. So y'all are not in a place to put really any harsh judgment upon anybody. Because if it were not for me, y'all would all go to hell. And it's kind of funny because Jesus, like, he's a sense of humor in like almost everything he said in the scriptures. After everybody left, because it says their consciences were convicted, he rises up and he asks the woman, well, where is your accusers at? She says, everybody left. There's just nobody here but you. And he's like, okay. Yeah, he said, why didn't they condemn you? And then he told her, well, neither do I. I'm not going to condemn you either. So you go and sin no more. So he obviously knew where they were. He knew what was going to happen. He knew that they left, I think Jesus was just trying to prove a point that it's not that we cannot judge righteous judgment. But first of all, their judgment was not righteous in the first place because their motive was to condemn the woman for sin when they're sinners themselves. And that's what he was trying to show them. And he was showing them by demonstration, by letting her go free. She has righteousness through me. She did receive righteousness through him, and salvation through him, and forgiveness through him, because he released her knowing what she did. And he was showing everybody, I'm the only one who has authority to judge and condemn. So when I see stuff like this, now I understand, and I actually do want to finally say, people need to stop judging other people, period, point blank. I don't care about any, don't bring up the righteous judgment scripture. We can't judge righteous judgment. People don't even know what righteous judgment is. They still have wicked hearts and are still insulting and degrading people and calling it righteous judgment just because the Bible says that you can judge righteous judgment. I don't think we need to be judging anybody because you're not in a position to do it, period. The way I feel when I see people just be slandered like that, and when it comes to me, just even with the stuff that happened recently on YouTube with Jonathan K.O., my issue with slander, I don't have a problem with somebody stating something factual about somebody else. I just don't like when somebody comes up and just pulls stuff out of the air and just makes these weird allegations about somebody. If you're going to do something like that, especially if you're going to bring it on a public platform, make sure you have evidence and you have proof of everything that you were saying about this individual. Have your receipts ready if you're going to do something like that. I'm not in agreement with it, especially after seeing this stuff on YouTube a few hours ago. But I'm just saying, people do these things. They feel like it's okay because they have a certain opinion about somebody, or they feel a certain way about somebody, and because they feel like other individuals may be in agreement in their opinion or be like-minded about that individual, like how, let's say somebody's getting condemned. Like, there's a lot of YouTube videos where we're watching like child molesters and stuff get condemned to go to prison, and if you read those comments, they are sick comments, like, that MFer deserves to burn in hell, I hope he gets raped in the A, it's just this whole, chain of demonic spirits, people just wicked hearts, and they're all just on one accord just because somebody did something horrendous and really disgusting. And my issue is, I'm not saying the person's not wicked. I'm not saying that they're not deserving of the judgment that God is going to, recompense them. It's not your place to dictate that. You are nobody. You're not any better than the person that you're telling to go to hell and telling them to get raped in the butt and go do all this, have all these horrible things happen to him just because they did something horrible, That's God's place. And I was just kind of laying in bed and I was just thinking about it. And he just really allowed me to feel how he feels about that. God hates when we do stuff like that because it's not your job. And y'all gonna hear me talk about delegated authority a lot, in the coming videos, because that's something I was recently learning about. And you got to ask yourself, some things God has granted to us and some things he has not granted to you. God has not granted to humanity to judge anybody because you can't. You're no better than them. We're all in the same predicament. Even Christians are righteous through Jesus, and they are too if they choose to be, but even as a Christian, you're still no better than them, and God still told you not to judge the wicked. So now we understand, as far as delegated authority goes, a Christian is not even granted authority to judge the wicked. So your mouth should not be on anybody wicked. If it's not a blessing, you shouldn't be saying anything about them. Now, how many Christians do you know that are calling, I watched a recent video. The man is not a Christian. I just want to say that. You know them by their fruit. But there's a man, he has a truther video, and he recently did a video on Kesha. And you watch the video, he's mocking Kesha, saying don't pray for her. She's a turd. She's a whore, a satanic witch. And it's the Christian man. Just calling the woman all these names, and she's a satanic slut. I'm not praying for these soulless zombies, and all this crazy stuff. And it's just so many Christians doing stuff like this. And I'm in a place now, and I feel like the Lord is really working on my heart, because I used to judge people really, really bad. Just even in my opinions, even in my thoughts, I would be judging people. And I want to work on correcting that too. But when I see stuff like that happening, to be honest with you, it's just really tacky to me. I don't even care if the information is true. That person could be the worst individual in the world. They could be a whore. They could be promiscuous. They could be all those things, but you are not delegated authority from God to put your mouth on that person and judge them. Some things we just need to remain witnesses and bystanders with. If she's wicked, let her be wicked. God is still on the throne. He knows how to judge her. He's sovereign. It's not necessary for you to speak on it or to really plaster her on the wall and just make countless videos about how she's a whore. Like, anybody can see that. And if you were careful, you would be careful. You would want to not judge her, because you are in danger of judging by even doing it, because that's not your role and that's not your responsibility. That's God's responsibility. You're not in heaven in council with the Father, given authority to judge the quick and the dead. That's Jesus' job. That's not your job. Your job is to believe in him, to serve him, to bless your enemies, and to love them and pray for them. And you remain quiet when you do see anybody wicked. Yes, God can use the wicked to shame people and to do things like that. He will use it as a measure of judgment. But I also want to say, woe to those who he uses to actually do it, because just because God used you as a vessel of dishonor to do that to somebody does not mean that you are not going to be judged for it. He said offenses will come, but woe to those who cause the offense. It's tacky. I don't even want that for my enemy. I don't want to see somebody be slandered and just put out like they're like, I was going to make a video about the whole Black China things. I saw on YouTube that Rob Kardashian apparently exposed her. And I was just thinking, like, this is a serious spirit out here. Just like, this is like the exposure generation. Everybody's just like, it really is just nothing but witchcraft. It really is just nothing but corporate gossip and slander. And like I said, it's not that the person may not be deserving of it or that those things may not be true, but like we just like, I'm glad that God is teaching me about authority, because I feel like you can only be in a place of rest and contentment if you know your role. If you're in your proper role that God actually delegated to you, you will have peace. And I think that humanity's role, essentially, is to be quiet and don't speak on things. If it's not going to be a blessing, then don't say anything. It's not necessary for you to carry along the gossip or to share the gossip or to curse the person with your words by insulting them. Only God can curse. You are not given that privilege to judge and curse this individual. God is. You're not God. You know, and Christians, they use that scripture or the excuse of how Jesus called, you know, the Pharisees vipers and brood of vipers and, you know, beasts and all this. And he's Jesus. Once again, you're not God. You know, Jesus can talk to them like that because he's coming from a place of authority as their Lord and their creator, and he knew their hearts, and he was talking directly to their conscience when he spoke to them like that. Just because you saw the Lord do something does not give you the privilege to go and talk to somebody like that when you are no better than them. You're not their Lord. He's the Lord. That's his government, that's his authority, that's his right to judge someone, tell them where they're going, and tell them who they are. So even if you discern it, even if you see it, even if you're a witness to it and what the person did, it's not your place to slander them, make a video about it, and just make the person look bad. Like, some of them already making their stuff look bad. Like, you really don't even have to go that far. So, but that's what I was just thinking about. I actually posted about that because I was just like, I mean, like, what's the point in slandering the women? Like, I mean, it's not even true, you know, and I really don't like that. Like, just because somebody may be wicked and they may not be, just, you know, a good example, that they could actually be loose. Like, all those things could be true. I just don't like how that doesn't really give us the right to attack them, though. Like, I mean, let God handle that. That's really not your business, not your responsibility. Like, it reminds me of a scripture where it says that a Christian should, like, really just mind their own business. You know, we live in a wicked world. There's wicked people all around you, but there's a lack of distaste when we just look at everybody around us and just constantly just want to speak bitter about the person on what you see, and that is cursing. God don't need you to speak it. Let him pronounce it. Let him pronounce their wickedness. Let him pronounce who they really are. Let him pronounce their judgment, and you just remain quiet. You need to preserve yourself because you are in danger of judgment by even judging them. I'd be more terrified of that because God can come right back to you and say, who are you? What are you laughing for? You know, and it's one of those Job moments, like, do you really want to face the Lord with something like that? You have no right to judge this person over here. You're made righteous through my blood. Who are you to put your mouth on them? You're nobody. You know, once again, he is the only one who's given authority to judge the quick and the dead. Let him do that. Let God be the judge. So yeah, I'm actually going to say, stop judging people. Like, I thought I would never say that again in years, but now I have a better understanding. Like, just stop judging people. And that's motivated me. Like I said, it's purified my heart even just seeing it, because I just thought it was tacky. I was like, I don't even want that messed up into my enemies. Like, I don't even want, it's just tacky. Like, I'm not saying that my enemies aren't wicked or that they're not deserving of certain things. I'd rather let God deal with it in his own way than to have somebody just, like, slander them and just, like, why do we do that to each other? It's crazy. It really is crazy. And it's a spirit of witchcraft. That's all it is. I don't know why people think it's righteous, or it makes them more righteous if they take somebody who did something really bad and they all come into agreement on one accord to burn the person and crucify them and just stone them alive because, oh, you killed those babies, or you did all this stuff, so let's all get together and kill him. You know, it's like, well, you're no better than him. Like, you're wicked. You know, like, he has to answer to the Father. Like, you're not his God. You know, you're not created. Like, you didn't make him. His breath is not in your hands. His breath is in the Lord's hands. You have no authority to even kill him. And it's really just nothing but pride. Like, murder. Even if you don't physically murder the person, we murder people from the heart, just with our tongues. You know, the word says that the tongue is evil. You know, it really is an unruly thing. You don't have authority to kill somebody just because they did something wicked. You don't have authority to curse them and speak ill on them. That's God's job. Let him deal with that how he wants to deal with that. Be a bystander, be a witness to it, pray for them. You know, that's your job. That's how you stay safe from judgment. And I think a way that would help us stop doing that is anytime you have a thought to want to say something or do something like that, because I've actually like started to kind of monitor myself because I'm used to speaking my mind so much. Sometimes I just didn't really care, and I just go ahead and be like, you know what, you wrong for this. You know, but I think what would help us is recognizing, I guess if you come from a place of recognizing God's authority and you remind yourself of that, like, that's my father's job, and I feel like I would be disrespecting him and trying to like do his job for him, or, you know, take up his throne if I actually go and say this to this person like that, or if I actually, you know, go and do this, or if I come into agreement with harping on somebody and judging somebody else when, you know, jump on the bandwagon or some, you know, slander is taking place. That's God's position. You know, I just see it like a Cain situation. If Cain was wicked and God was able to spank him and say, Cain, you know what, you're going to be a vagabond on the earth. And so he has the power to curse how he wants to. He don't need you to curse it. He can do it. He's the only one who can curse people, not you. So, that's what he put in my spirit, though. Just, he just has a corporate spirit of witchcraft that everybody is, really submissive to. Is disgusting. He said he hates it, and it's just really ridiculous, and it made me want to stop doing it when he put that in my spirit. Like, he hates it. And people, when you speak ill on somebody, even if you come into agreement or say something like, yeah, I agree, that was wrong, you know, just not saying that you can't say something's wrong, but just, you know, I'd be very careful. I think we should start being very careful about how if it causes you to speak ill about the person or to just really badmouth them, even if you're really not trying to, that actually is cursing them. I really do strongly believe that you're still pronouncing a curse or a judgment upon somebody. So there's a reason why Jesus said bless and not curse. He was already telling you right there, be quiet. If it's not a blessing, just don't say anything, because y'all don't have that authority to do it. That's why he said bless and not curse. That's why he said pray for your enemies, because one thing that resentment and unforgiveness and bitterness does is it gives you this false impression that you have some type of authority to, one, be offended in the first place. Like, you have a right to be offended, and that's just going to lead you to believe that you have a right to do something about it after that, and you really don't, because you did not make that individual. God did. If they did wrong against you, he knows how to judge them for that. So it's kind of bringing, like, it's really giving me another layer of understanding when it comes to forgiveness and why Jesus says bless and not curse. Pray for your enemies. I think it has something to do with authority. Like, y'all don't really have a right to even judge them for what they did. If they did wrong against you, that really has nothing to do with you. You know, it has everything to do with them and God, how they treating somebody and how they talking crazy to you. Stay in your lane. Be careful not to judge them because they cussed at you, because they slandered you, because they did this and that. That's between them and the Lord. I wouldn't even touch it. And that's really what I'm going to try to practice from now on. From the angle of, I don't have that authority to do that. I feel like it's immodest to do it. I think it's tacky to do it. I don't want to participate in it no more. I don't want to never do it again. I don't even want to judge anybody. Like, I don't even want to look at somebody with a heart of judgment anymore. I'm going to look at you like you belong to my Father, whether you a good seed or a bad seed, and that's his business. I'm going to let him deal with you. I'll just take it up to him in prayer, pray for the person, and just keep it moving. And I really do think that this is what the New Jerusalem is going to be like. Well, they're not going to be there. But if I had to picture like the kingdom of heaven, like as an actual community, I see a lot of peaceable people that when they see something wicked, they just walk by and don't say anything. They just keep to themselves. And I think it's how Christians should be. Don't become entangled with different affairs of gossip and fighting and bickering and all this crazy stuff. And I think it's just because we don't have any understanding, because I just got it a few hours ago. So sometimes you really just don't know no better. But now that I have it, I wanted to share it, you know, and some of y'all probably already knew that. But I think it's how it should be. Just that is modesty. That is a meek and quiet spirit, just remaining quiet. And I'm learning what to speak about and probably what not to speak about too, because you really do have to guard your tongue. And I think that one way it's really going to help us do that is recognizing authority. I think because we probably didn't see it that way before, we kind of probably struggled with like what to say, or, you know, wanting to go off on somebody or wanting to rebuke or expose somebody. But now you know, God granted you authority with some things, so we know that, okay, we can't judge the wicked, but we can judge the church. And even when you do judge the church, it has to be done from a place of love, because that is righteous judgment. discerning what the true issue is, and then handling it in a manner where you can still caress the person's soul and get through to their mind in a peaceable way, to remind them of who they are in Christ without completely discrediting them and just torturing them, making them pretty much putting the person on a wall and like having a platform up to where they can just be crucified by other people who are in the same spirit of witchcraft. That's not righteous judgment, and that's not God. So I already feel at peace. I feel so much better not planning to judge. Like I don't want to look at nobody with a heart of judgment, and I'm really gonna just really work on cleansing my heart with that, because after seeing that mess, because I was just like, this is really unnecessary. Like, why are you gonna get up here and just like make all these videos about these people, and this stuff probably not even true, and you feel like just because they're a celebrity, or just because the stuff, you know, they have a bad, you know, reputation, that it's okay for you to just slander them because they have a bad reputation. No, it's not okay. You're not making it no better by making them look bad. Why are you doing a whole video about how many men and who the men are that Kim Kardashian slept with? That's not even your business. You know, and there's I could go on for days about this. There's so many channels now with women who have nothing but Jezebel spirits. They have successful channels which is nothing but distributing gossip to you and letting you know the latest celebrity news, all the messy stuff that's going on. And now they have like 300,000 subscribers, and everybody, they call it sipping tea. You have no life. Like, I mean, you really have to ask yourself, why is it so important to you to be that involved in somebody else's personal life, to where you even subscribe to some trash like this and become successful by having a channel gossiping about other people's business? I wouldn't even want to be around an individual like that. You have a successful channel with like thousands of subscribers distributing gossip and messy information about somebody else's personal life that could potentially hurt them. And, you know, God forbid the tables be turned and it was you on the other side. They wouldn't like that. But because it's a celebrity and their business is already public and already out, well, let me go ahead and just add some fuel to the fire. I mean, they're already embarrassed anyway, so let's just talk about it. I mean, it's still slander. It doesn't make it any better. You know, God don't look at them as a celebrity. God looks at them like people. And he's going to judge you according to his law. If you still did that to somebody, you still did it. You still slandered them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she's promiscuous. It doesn't matter if he cheated on his wife and now they're planning for a divorce and you called him a dog and a no good. Stop pronouncing curses on people. That's not your job. Let God do that. It's not your business. Go home and take care of your kids. Your kids need attention, you know, not somebody else's business, you know. So a lot of people are going to be judged for that. And I felt that in my spirit when he was dealing with me about that early this morning. God cannot stand that, man. So many people are out of order just judging people, and it's really not your place to judge anybody. Your judgment should be judging yourself, you know, to make sure that you are walking out your salvation with fear and trembling. And when it comes to judging the church, it's so that you can be your sister or your brother's keeper, not so you can, you know, have a hand or finally take a hand in throwing these stones at them that you've probably been wanting to throw at them because you don't like the Christian. Because in reality, that's what most of it is anyway. We just have wicked hearts and we're ready to just slander somebody, and we use scripture to hide behind to do it. Righteous judgment has always been based on love. It's about keeping the church in order and keeping her in a place of love so she can continue abiding in her Lord. Righteous judgment should be used to that. That's why he says, restore the brother or sister in a spirit of meekness. Righteous judgment requires discernment. So if you don't even have discernment, you really shouldn't be judging anybody, because you're not even able to really rightly deal with the matter or handle the individual in a way to where it would be receptive and beneficial and edifying to them. And that's why Jesus said, you know, take the log out of your own eye first, and then you'll see clearly enough to judge. He didn't say you can't do it. He just knows that most of us have wrong heart motives, and some of us are not even in a mature place to really go and judge somebody else. So once you deal with your own heart first, and your filter gets changed a little bit, your mind is a little bit more renewed, then you'll be able to see clearly of what the real issue is, and you target the issue instead of the Christian, you know. So there's even that. It just goes back to the whole authority and maturity thing. And even in scripture, when you do see things about rebuking or turning somebody over to sin, when Paul would make comments like that, I really do think that he was speaking to leaders. He was talking to people who probably were actually mature in the faith and telling them and instructing them how to handle situations like that. He wasn't talking to babes, because babes don't know. Babes are carnal. He said that too in Corinthians. Babes are carnal. You can't entrust rebuke to somebody who's not intimate with the Lord, because they're going to come at you upside your head. You know, so I think even with rebukes and stuff, I think it should be left to people who are really in a place of maturity, intimacy with the Lord, because it would have no choice but to be done through his love, unless the Lord just really specifically led you to do it. But yeah, that's what he used to just really correct my heart on that. Just seeing the videos about just disgusting, man. I mean, why would you call Wendy Wood like a crack whore? It says something about coke, crack whore, Wendy Williams, gossip girl. I'm just like, why are you slandering this woman? Like, that may be, she may gossip, but like, who are you? Like, you're no better. Look what you just called her. You know, like, that is ridiculous, man. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. So that's it.